Hey, welcome to another special episode of Agenda AWANI. I'm right here and I have to speak like this because I'm trying to capture the energy and vibrancy at the coolest meet in the region called the ASEAN Rice Bowl Startups Award and its first ever summit, the first time ever in Bali. My first time in Bali with Agenda AWANI. And I'm going to introduce you another key figure. It's not from ASEAN. The company is not from ASEAN, but they're looking at ASEAN, they're looking at the world, and they're from our great neighbor, China. So I would like to introduce to you my new friend, Edmont Rao. Don't ask me why his name is Rao, he says it's a Chinese name. But I've tried to pronounce the Chinese name of his company, Boao Junghing Network Technology,
Yes.
which, how it started was because the founder was called by the leader of China, the president, at the Boao Forum, and he was told that, hey, what are you doing about IT? IT is important for the world, important for our country. And then from then on, WTOIP not only serve Guangzhou or China as a whole, but they have even, I think, correct me if I'm mistaken, offices around the world, like in Geneva. And they're really looking at Southeast Asia. So I'm going to ask my new friend Edmont, before I ask you why you are at the Rice Bowl, please explain to us in your own way, what is WTOIP? And you can go to WTOIP.com because on the website, it will say to you, when East meets West, miracles happen through interchange of human wisdom. WTOIP Group as a global resource sharing platform for entrepreneurial services with focus on IP is striving to act as a junction of technology, knowledge, expertise, and resources from East and West. Sometimes that's a very big thing to understand. So I just get you to explain this to us.
Yeah, we started our business focusing on IP. That's why we have the IP there.
Okay.
Because China has been always identified as not in a good position of protecting IP.
Okay.
While the purpose for us to set up our business is that we need to make IP very important in China, and that's why we have the WTOIP. And also that when we do the IP from beginning, we do the IP registration and protection, and then we also do the IP operation, and then we also do a lot of IP exchange, in which we found that the technology transfer is a huge demand in China. And we found that this and a lot of, when we communicate with the foreign countries, then one thing they step into China, the first thing they be afraid will be the IP issue. Yep. And we found that we will be the right company to do that. Yeah, we are helping the foreign company, foreign innovation to come into China, and also helping Chinese companies to go abroad. We are helping them to set up the IP strategy in other countries, as well as helping the foreign country, the enterprise coming to China, helping them to setting up the Chinese IP strategy and layout to make sure they have a very good presence in China when they are developing their business in China.
Many those viewers in the audience, maybe some of them are like me, never been to China, never been inside China. So can you paint to us, illustrate the picture of what we are talking about here? Because I think in Guangzhou alone, maybe there are millions of companies and IPs, and if you look at the whole of China. So I just want the audience, Malaysia only have 32 million population. So I want you to give them that numbers game, because China is an ecosystem by itself.
Yes, China is recently, in this 30 years, we actually grew from very small countries to a very big markets. I can give you a comparison.
Okay.
20 years ago, the GDP of China is even smaller than of Hong Kong itself.
Okay.
The mainland China, the GDP. And now, from the year 2017, or the year, or maybe last year, the year 18. Both Shenzhen, the city of Shenzhen, and Guangzhou alone. Let me just say one city.
Yeah.
Shenzhen city alone,
Okay,
its
Shenzhen.
GDP already surpassed that
Bigger
of
than Hong
Hong Kong.
Okay.
And you can see that how the Shenzhen is just one city of
Correct.
Guangzhou.
Correct.
There was hundreds of cities there.
Yes.
Although Shenzhen is a big city, most
Yes.
innovative city. But imagine that 30 years ago, Shenzhen is just a small village.
Yes.
Small village of nothing.
Mhm.
And these 30 years, it grows to be a big international city, even with its GDP bigger than Hong Kong itself.
So 30 years ago, people don't really look at IP in China. How big is IP market in China?
And at that time, China have their stage. The first, at that time, they look for how to survive.
Yeah.
Survive.
Yes.
They need to,
Every day.
Every day. And I remember 30 years ago, when I was a kid,
Okay.
the monthly salary of my mother is 26 renminbi.
Okay.
26 renminbi. And now you can see that how much.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah, it's much better. You can see at that time, people, the main focus for the people is survival.
Yes.
It's how to develop. At that time, you ask them to focus on IP.
No way.
That doesn't make sense.
Okay.
But in these few years, as the economy of China grow a lot,
Yes.
and China also has experienced a period of how to do a lot of international processing and help them to make products.
When did it really change? Because before, at first, from that trying to get food on the table daily, China went into big mass manufacturing for other people.
Yeah, for other
overseas.
people. Yes.
Take other people's IP or OEM or whatever,
Yeah.
and then produce for others.
Yeah.
But maybe 10, 20 years ago, China started inventing, innovating, creating its own product and services, which makes IP more important.
Yes, that's like in these 10 years, and China becomes to put more focus on the invention. The invention before is majorly on the army, military,
Yeah.
and also some university.
Okay.
For the companies, they usually they just manufacturing for the other
Others,
countries. And I can say that the China do have the ability to how to make things, study things,
Yes.
and then that because the market is growing in a mass. So I can see that at that time there may be something that makes China a little bit have their bad thing about the copying things.
Okay.
But in these 10 years, I can see that especially the foundation of the National IP Office build up.
Okay.
China put more and more focus on the IP itself.
Is it SIPO, China?
SIPO, yeah,
SIPO.
SIPO, yeah. It's
Okay.
putting more and more focus on that.
Give us a figure, like how many new IPs a year for China?
Wow, that's let me it's in, it's millions patents. I don't quite remember the exact number.
Just give a figure that you remember.
It's the millions of patents every year because Chinese the SIPO office they make a incentive for to drive everywhere to apply IP.
For IP.
Yeah, they if you apply for a patent, you get the compensation for that.
Okay.
So every year, Chinese government they have the quota for doing that.
Okay.
So every government, the local government, they run the business like running a company. So they just drive in Guangdong alone. Every year they have several 100,000 patents.
When it started, was it offline and manual where they, write in forms, have a chalk, and then file?
Yeah.
But what your company does is take it from there.
Yes.
You have that physical component at the start.
Yeah.
But now, within 30 seconds, If I were your client, I
Yes.
could download every single IP I wanted to know about in China, and I can see their details so that I can compare. Is that the range we're talking about?
You know, IP have it's not only about patents.
Yes.
It's also included the trademarks and copyrights
Yes.
and the patents and also some domain names
Yeah.
as well. So when we discussing here, majorly we are talking about patents.
Okay.
But patents, it's for this years is growing very much,
Okay.
a lot. We every year our companies help companies do a lot of this kind of registration.
Okay.
Usually it's easy to apply for a patent, but when you get granted, it usually need 1 to 2 years for for grants.
So can company just go to you and your system will settle it with the government, or how does it work?
Oh yeah, there was the two ways. We have online and offline.
Okay.
Online, of course, you just online do the registration and give us. We collect the information and then we will do all those things for them. Offline, they need to because for some more complicated patents, we need to have a discussion and help them to how to write the patents.
Okay.
And then when we have a discussion, and our technical team will help them to write down to file the.
So it's
the
a consultancy too.
Yes.
You help them
Yeah.
to be able to finally get it approved.
Yes. Because we are a full line IP service.
Okay.
Yeah. For us, it's for the IP filing application is just the first step.
So from that standpoint alone, people should not fear so much about copyright or patent infringement in China, because the database and everything now is very well placed.
In fact, you know, if you are now going to do some real business in China, if you follow the Chinese rule, it's very safe now.
Okay.
The sense of unsafe is only comes from those rumors that when you go to China you will get copied easily. That's because they didn't even apply for IP in China.
Perception.
Yeah, that's perception. If they do this in advance, we can help them to do a lot of things. We have developed a product called IP Cloud.
Okay.
We called it the Huijuyun IP Cloud. This is with the big data and AI inside.
Okay.
You can go to if you go to our website, especially Chinese website, you search a name of the company. You put a name of the company, and then it will come up automatically a report for their IP status.
Okay.
But all this information actually from the it's for open information.
Okay.
Because when they apply for IP, it should be popularized, right?
Do you have an English version?
We don't. We are working on that. But the Chinese version is there.
Okay.
So every companies they can check this very easily, and we can also give them the full report is like several like dozens of the pages.
Okay.
It's a very professional report.
Right.
And also, but this is only based on the public data.
Okay. Public access data.
But if they are our pay accounts, pay customers, they will discuss with us and give us some of the real data. You know, besides public data, there are always some data, and that we will help them use them to do a more accurate report. But this is, of course, you cannot check it anywhere.
So how is all that beneficial to small and medium companies?
Yes, you know, we have two kind of products. One is for the big corporates. That's you understand. The second is for the SMEs. You know, most of the SMEs, they don't even have the time or money to hire the specific IP team.
Okay.
Not only IP department, even one people dedicated for IP.
Okay.
They don't have the time or money to afford to do it. But for our IP cloud, we can offer them a free online IP management. It's like IP entrustment for them. Every month we will give them like a bank statement to tell them, hey, what's the status of your IP? It's time for you to maybe renew your fee, and there may be some risk that somebody may be doing something against you. Do you want to react? Then we can help with you. And if you want to do some analysis, you can use our IP cloud to do some IP analysis, this kind of things.
Okay. I have the last few minutes. I just want to ask you, now how do you bring that W2OIP business and knowledge into Southeast Asia? Because we're looking at China, we want the same growth trajectory, but our way. So why are you interested in Southeast Asia? Why are you here at the ASEAN Rice Bowl Award? And what's the point of IP if we do not have innovation? Without innovation, there's no IP.
Yes.
So how do you help innovation in Southeast Asia to get to where we want? Because a prosperous Southeast Asia is good for China, a prosperous China is good for Southeast Asia.
Yes. You know, the IP is the core for the innovation. That's why we do a lot of technology transfer. It's also related on IP. So when we help a foreign companies like from Asian countries like Malaysia to go to Chinese market, we actually have a startup package for them. We are thinking when a new company go to a new country, a company go to a new country, what do they need? So our startup pack offers the following service. The first, we give them, we help them to do the free registration in China, free registration, and also help them to 1 year accounting service according to Chinese accounting rule.
Okay.
Yeah. The second, we help them to do an IP analysis and IP layout strategy in China. The third, we help them to match with, we help them to find some good investors which focus on their industry.
I see.
Yeah, they understand their industry because we know a lot of investors. We are very strong in this area.
Okay.
And the fourth, we will alliance them to do the matching for the biggest companies in their industry, so that they can get into the game, get into the circle in their industry very quickly. Because the big companies always have a lot of resources, including the buying channel and the selling channel, all these things. So when these big companies they think this technology is good enough, they will cooperate.
Okay.
Yeah, so we will do this kind of matching. And the fifth, you know, in China there were a lot of good local policies to help foreign companies go to China, set up office. They have the favorable policies. They even have funding for that.
Okay.
We help them to apply for that.
I see.
So that we will do all this, and the sixth, we also help them to make some Chinese tools, because in China you don't have Google, you don't have Facebook.
Correct.
But we have WeChat.
Yes.
Yeah, we have WeChat. We help them to how to do the business through WeChat.
I see.
And this with the local habits.
Okay.
And of course we help them with the IP protection as well.
Okay.
So this is the full package we offer to help for the foreign companies like from Malaysia to go to China.
How are you offering now? Are you going all out on your marketing, setting up office, or
yes,
how do you do?
It's so far is the we start up this business from last year, and we found that the companies are very interested in that. In fact, many companies, they already purchased this
So
kind
how
of
do
service.
will they go to you, to your HQ in Southeast Asia? Or?
Yeah, first we do that through our IPIEC Global.
Okay.
We found that those are the target. The companies.
That's the competition.
Yeah, the competition. Okay. That's the companies we have.
Innovation.
And also during we attend this like the Rice Bowl, these events. Okay. We can also promote this kind of service, which they really need it. And then we believe they will have when they have a good taste of the service, okay. they will okay. express for us. And we are going to set up an office when the business is big enough okay. in Malaysia as well.
So you've seen Southeast Asia, you've seen Malaysia, you've seen Indonesia. What is your opinion on innovation in Southeast Asia?
I think Southeast Asia is very active. They have very good innovations, but the market is not good enough. So the commercialized is not efficient enough. Okay. But the quality of the innovation is it should be good. It may be for some very high tech things. It's not as good as those in US and then Germany, but for those related to life, it's very easy to commercialize. Commercialize. So that's why when last year when we only choose like 3 projects. The top 3 to go to China, and one project like Mako, they are actually the most popular one in China when we do the matching in different.
You choose from Rice Bowl.
Yeah. Okay. They choose from Rice Bowl because they are winners. Okay. They are winners. They are the number 1 winners from the Rice Bowl, and I really don't expect that, but I didn't expect that, but they really are the most popular one. Because for those high-tech like Kongchen study, the lab in Germany, they don't have people because everyone will have a separate table to meet the interest companies. And every time that's Mako, they are the most popular one. 4 to 5 companies go.
And they're from Malaysia.
No, from China. They talk to.
I mean, Mako is from Malaysia.
Mako from Malaysia. Yeah, they are very happy on
green
that.
Sustainable waste processing.
Yeah, so they won the most popular prize, and also the another projects that's also out of expectation, because the competition is very severe. Okay. You know, every country only top three from each countries are qualified. Okay. So they are always the best of the best. So the Malaysia also need to compete against the US top 3, the German top 3, Israel top 3, England top 3. But the one project go to the final round. Yes. And it also won the 3rd place. Okay. That's the nanopack. Okay. The nanopack, the technology is from the Nadu. Okay. Nadu, it's very good. It's a like a water treatment. Okay. You can turn the toilet water
clean water
to drinking water in 5 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, that technology actually won the 3rd place in the final. Okay. So you can see that they do have Malaysia. Do have very good technologies. Okay. And today, I found another very good project. Okay. They have a just a sticker for the fruit. Okay. For the mango. Yes. For example, the mango, if without that sticker, they maybe take weeks to rot. Yes. But with that sticker, they can last 2 weeks longer. Okay. This is a very small invention, but it's very practical. Yeah. Very practical in the consumer markets. Okay. We are going to help them to deploy it in China.
Thank you so much for being a friend of Southeast Asia, of the ASEAN Rice Bowl Awards and Summit. And check out WTOIP.com. And you might just want to go into one of the biggest market near our shores, which is our neighbors, China. This has been a very special recording of Agenda AWANI right here in Bali at the ASEAN Rice Bowl Award 2018. And this was my new friend from Guangzhou, which is Edmont and WTOIP. See you again in another episode soon. Bye.